Welcome to Oma's True Stories. This is the story of Nneka.
In a remote village in eastern Nigeria, the moon hung low over the trees, casting eerie shadows as villagers whispered of strange happenings in the neighboring town. Rumors had spread of a beautiful young woman who had appeared in the neighboring village, her presence stirring the hearts of all the men. But her origins were shrouded in mystery. The village elders warned the men to be cautious, as something about the woman felt unnatural, but their warnings went unheeded. One night, the mysterious woman accepted a marriage proposal from a young man in the village, and the entire community rejoiced, unaware of the dark fate that awaited them. After the wedding, strange things began to happen. Animals in the village started disappearing, and an eerie silence fell over the once bustling community. The young groom grew pale and weak, as if something was slowly draining the life out of him, yet no one could explain what was happening. As the days passed, villagers began to grow suspicious of the bride, whose beauty never seemed to fade, despite the strange occurrences. Late one evening, a group of villagers decided to secretly follow Nneka, hoping to uncover the truth behind her unchanging beauty and the strange events plaguing the village. The villagers followed her deep into the forest, where they witnessed Nneka performing a strange and ancient ritual under the light of the full moon. The sight before them was beyond comprehension, and fear gripped their hearts as they realized Nneka was not of this world. Panicked and horrified, the villagers fled back to the village, but the darkness seemed to follow them, as if Nneka's presence now haunted every corner of their lives. Back in the village, strange and unexplainable events intensified. Fires would erupt without warning, shadows moved on their own, and the once lively village turned into a place of fear and dread. Desperate to rid themselves of the curse, the village elders called for a spiritual leader to perform a cleansing ritual, hoping to banish the darkness that had taken hold of their home. As the spiritual leader began the ritual, a chilling wind swept through the village, extinguishing the fires and plunging the elders into darkness. In the pitch black night, the villagers heard a haunting voice echo through the village, and when the moon reappeared, Nneka was gone, leaving only a chilling silence behind. The days following Nneka's disappearance were filled with unease, as the village seemed to hold its breath, waiting for something terrible to happen. The village chief, burdened by the growing fear, gathered the elders once again, determined to find a solution before the darkness consumed them all. As the elders debated what to do, a mysterious stranger appeared at the edge of the village, cloaked in shadows, claiming to know the truth about Nneka. The villagers gathered around the stranger, their fear mixed with curiosity, as he began to speak of ancient spirits and curses tied to Nneka's past. As the stranger's tale grew darker, the villagers realized that Nneka's return had been foretold in ancient legends, marking the beginning of something far more sinister. The air grew thick with fear, and the villagers could feel the weight of the curse settling upon their once peaceful village. Just as the villagers were about to lose hope, the stranger revealed that there was one way to break the curse, but it would come at a terrible cost. The villagers looked at each other in silence, knowing that the sacrifice required would change their village forever. The stranger warned that the only way to lift the curse was to confront Nneka's spirit in the same place where she performed the ritual. Despite their fear, a group of brave villagers volunteered to venture into the forest, knowing the fate of their village depended on them. As they entered the forest, the air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to stretch and twist, as if the forest itself was alive. The deeper they went, the more they felt as though they were being watched, unseen eyes lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, a low whisper echoed through the trees, sending chills down their spines as if the forest itself was speaking to them. The villagers huddled closer together, terrified, as the whispering grew louder, filling the air with an ominous chant they could not understand. Just as they thought they could bear it no longer, the whispering stopped. leaving an oppressive silence that was even more terrifying than the noise. Out of the silence, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Nneka, her eyes glowing faintly in the darkness as she approached the group. The villagers stepped back in terror, but Nneka's gaze held them in place, her presence freezing them where they stood. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Only a low, haunting sound that seemed to echo through the very trees. The villagers, trembling, realized there was no escape as the sound grew louder, reverberating in their bones. Suddenly, the forest erupted with movement, as if the trees themselves were closing in around them. The villagers screamed as they were engulfed by the twisting branches, unable to move or escape. Through the chaos, Nneka's form faded into the darkness, leaving behind nothing but the haunting echo of her presence. The villagers who survived the encounter staggered back to the village, forever changed by what they had witnessed. Though they escaped with their lives, the shadow of Nneka's curse lingered, haunting their every step. The elders, once full of wisdom, now spoke little of the incident, as if the very mention of Nneka's name would summon her back. But in the hearts of the villagers, fear had taken root, and they knew that Nneka's curse would never truly leave them. The village slowly returned to its routines, but the laughter of children was quieter, and the nights felt longer, as if Nneka's presence still lingered in the shadows. Some villagers whispered that they still saw her in the distance, a flicker of movement among the trees, watching, waiting. The elders knew that the curse would never truly be lifted, and though Nneka was gone, her memory would haunt the village forever. And so, the village lived on in the shadow of her curse, where no one dared to speak her name again.